If you have more than 10,000 followers right now and you're not making at least $20,000 a month from your DMs, then stay with me because what I'm about to show you in this video has nothing to do with your content, has nothing to do with your niche, has nothing to do with how many followers you actually have. I'm going to show you a system problem, and I'm going to show you the exact system that we use to close deals entirely through the DMs for me and our clients. No phone calls, no webinars, no landing pages, just conversations, right? Just a friendly chat. So here's what happened. I had a client get a big following, great content, getting hundreds of DMs a week, and he was broke. So not struggling, like broke, right? He'd post a fire reel, he'd get 200 comments, get 50 DMs, and close nothing, all right? Every single time. And he would get in the DMs himself, and anytime someone would say, hey, I'm interested, he'd go, here's what I got, here's the price, here's the link, and every single time, they would just leave him on red, right? So I asked him one question. I said, hey, when was the last time that you went on a date? And the first thing you said was, hi, I make 200K a year. I drive a BMW, and here's my resume. Are you in or not? He laughed at me, and he was like, obviously he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, nobody does that. I said, exactly. Nobody does that on a date, but that's what you're doing in every single DM. You're walking up to a stranger and dropping your resume before you even know their name. See, dating and DM sales work exactly the same way. The person who asks the questions controls the conversation. If you're the one pitching, you're the one chasing. And nobody buys from the one chasing them. They buy from someone they trust. And trust comes from conversations, not pitches. So today I'm going to break down exactly why 90% of creators are losing their money in the DMs, the 5-step rejection machine that most of you are running today without even knowing it, and the exact system that we use to flip the script. Let me show you now. All right. Time to hop right into it. And today we got a fun and a short one. So the topic for today is why 90% of creators lose money in their DMs and the simple system that will fix all of it. Okay. So before we get into that though, I'm going to compare your DM strategy or a lot of creators' DM strategies to your dating life. So stay with me for just a second. It's going to make perfect sense. All right. So let's talk about the scenario. Let's set it up. So imagine you're at a bar or the bar or in some cases, a coffee shop, right? But you see someone across the room, you make eye contact, they smile, you smile, there's a vibe, right? So you decide to walk up and you say something like, hi, I'm 28. I make $200,000 a year. I drive a BMW, I have a 401k, a great credit score, and I'm looking for something serious. Here's my resume. Are you in or not? And they end up just kind of running away, right? It's kind of awkward whenever you do something like that, and it's definitely something that you wouldn't do on a first date or when you first meet someone. But a lot of people do this anyway in their DMs every single day, right? You never do this on a date, but a lot of people do it every single day in your DMs, right? Show interest or someone shows interest, you dump your offer on their head, they ghost, and then you blame the algorithm or you say something like DMs don't work, right? So let's talk about like how to navigate a good day and a bad day. And I'm sure some of this is, recap for you, but let's just assume that people in the crowd need to know what a good and a bad date is, right? So bad first date. Let's talk about that. Number 1, talking about yourself the whole time. Terrible. Number 2, listing all your accomplishments. Not that great. 3, asking for commitment immediately, ignoring their body language, texting 14 times the next day. That's going to get you blocked. So let's recap what a good date looks like, right? So number 1, we're going to ask questions, be curious. Number 2, we're going to listen more than you talk. Number 3, we're going to find out what they care about. Number 4, we're going to make it about them, not us, right? Number 5, we're going to end with them wanting more. And then that's what gets us a second date, correct? So sales is just dating with a payment link, right? The person who asks the questions controls the conversation in dating and in the DMs. So the painful truth is this, right? Your funnel isn't actually a funnel. It's a rejection machine, right? So let me show you where all your money goes to die, the way that traditionally speaking, a lot of creators are going to monetize their audience these days. So number 1, we have a post, right? So let's say out of that post, we get 100 interested people, right? Well, if we're getting people to the link in bio, which is really common, right? 50% of those people are never going to click. So we lose 50% of those people right there. So that 100 immediately goes to 50 just by saying link in the bio, right? Then after we do link in the bio, I'll link us to a landing page, right? So when they click on this landing page, a good opt-in rate for a landing page is around 20 to 30%, right? So we lost 50, and then now we're going to lose another, 80 to 70% right here on the landing page, right? And then once we get basically that 80 to 20% of the 50 after they opt in, right, to deliver them and get them to buy something or get them to our next step, right? And email traditionally has a open rate around 25%. So essentially, out of all 100 people that post, we're going to maybe get one person that buys out of this whole process, right? So that's our 5-step rejection machine. We have a post and we reject, we reject, we reject, we reject, right? And so a lot of the traffic never actually gets to see the offer or anything that goes on because of all the way that it's kind of built. And this is like our traditional sales funnel process, right? So this is no DMs. This is us sending link traffic directly to a landing page or directly to our link in bio without a conversation or anything in between. Right? So the dating version of this funnel is like asking someone on a date through a series of billboards on the highway. By billboard number 5, they've already forgot your name, right? Can you imagine how ineffective it would be to ask someone on a date through billboards? Sounds romantic on paper. It might be in a rom-com, but not exactly effective for getting our outcome, right? So that being said, in this way, if you do it this way, 99% of the interested people that raise their hand on that first post actually never get to see your offer, right? They wanted to see it, but your system lost them along the way. So what if you just talk to them, right? One conversation, no funnel, no landing pages, just a real conversation, right? The conversation that leads to a conversion. So our DM system, if it looks something like this, right? We'll get a post. We'll have 100 people comment on that post. 95% of those people are going to engage in the DMs. 60% of those people are going to see the offer or at least click on something that we give. And that's going to turn into basically 20 sales, give or take, right? Now, granted, it depends on the price point of your offer and different things like that. But the point of this example right here is to show out of all those people that are getting interested, look how many people are seeing the offer or engaging with us. And then look how many people are seeing the offer. And that's going to obviously lead to way more conversion potential than the setup that we have right here, right, in our 5-step rejection machine. So that's the DM system, right? So a traditional funnel, breaking it down, right? So if you have 100 interested people, you got 5 steps to lose them. That's a 99% rejection rate. That turns into 1 sale, right? You got our DM system. You have 100 interested people, 1 really mapped out, engaging conversation, 20 sales. Right? Although this 20 sales might be a little inflated, that is actually more realistic because, the only way you can get 20 sales is if you have more than 20 people see your offer, right? And you compare our traditional funnel versus the DM system, so many more people are seeing the offer, so that gives us way more opportunities to make sales versus our traditional funnel, right? So the mindset shift here is stop selling, start diagnosing, right? Nobody wants to be sold on a landing page. Like landing pages are just cold, and they don't even talk to you. It's a very non-humane process, right? When I say humane in this case, I mean like there's no human involved, right? But people these days want to have a conversation. They want to be understood, right? So that's why we want to stop selling with landing pages and we're going to start diagnosing in the DMs, okay? So we want to be a doctor, not a salesman, right? So the doctor doesn't sell things. The doctor diagnoses. It asks questions, right? So doctor's going to say, where does it hurt? Versus a car salesman is going to be like, this baby's got leather seats. It's going to sell on the benefit. It's going to say what's up, right? Which one are you right now? We want to be the doctor, not the car salesman, okay? So the doctor framework, what does that look like? Number 1, we want to diagnose. We want to ask about their situation. We want to be curious. We want to listen more than we talk, right? Number 2, we want to find the gap. So we want to find out where they are versus where they actually want to be. And then because we find out the gap, that actually creates its own urgency, right? Number 3, we want to make it relevant, right? Nobody cares about the things that comes with my offer, like the modules, the videos. They don't really care about any of that, right? First thing they care about is, is it actually going to fix my problem? And if the answer is that yes, it's going to fix my problem, then all those modules and other things really matter, okay? And then number 4, we're going to prescribe, right? So now you've earned it. It doesn't feel like a pitch. It feels like a recommendation because instead of us diagnosing or giving someone a solution without asking questions, first we made it relevant. First, we actually got the information that we needed to make sure that this person felt heard and understood, and then gave them a proper recommendation based on what they said. So not only do they feel heard and understood, we're actually giving them a catered response, a catered sales response to what they're asking for. Yes? The dating version of this is like this, right? We go on the first date, right? We're going to ask questions. We're going to figure out who they are. And then we don't talk about ourselves the whole time, okay? And then we're going to find out about compatibility. Is there actually something real here? Do our lives fit together, right? Number 3, we're going to find out if there's a connection, right? You said you love hiking. I know this incredible trail, right? We're going to make sure that there's something that you guys have in common that you can connect on, right? And then if there is a connection, they're going to say yes to the second date, sorry, not third, but second date, before you even finish asking, because we've handled all these things, right? Cool. So let's go into a real DM example of what this looks like. So somebody might message you something like, hey, I saw your video about building an online business. I'm really interested. High five, right? And then this would be the incorrect way to do it, right? And it's like, thanks, our program is $14.95. It includes 6 modules, weekly coaching, and a private community. Here's a link to enroll. Let me know if you have any questions. Red. This is like 90% of how people do the DMs online, and it's just, it might have worked in 2018, 2017. It's not going to work today, right? So now you're just the person sending, hey, checking in. That's not a follow-up, but like it's a double text after a bad date. And what this means here is once this message is dropped and you basically dropped your pants and tried to sell them, right? The only game you can play at this point is follow-up. So, hey, just checking in. Hey, did you check out that link? Anything like that, right? We've lost all positioning because we've tried to sell too early in this example. Yeah. Now, take the same prospect, right? We're going to use the doctor framework. So they say the same thing. Hey, I saw your video about building an online business. I'm really interested. And then we say something like, hey, I'm glad it hit home. What part resonated with you the most? And they say, honestly, I've been trying to grow for months and nothing's working. And we say, I hear that. What does your business look like right now? Right? And they're like, I'm a fitness coach, getting some clients from IG, but it's random. Some months great, some months dead. And there's like, we say, so you're bringing clients, but there's no predictable system, bringing them in consistently. Exactly. That's my biggest problem. And we say, that's literally what I help fitness coaches fix. I have something that breaks down exactly how to turn those random DMs into a system. Want me to show you? They say, yes, please. So you can see here, longer conversation, but because I'm asking questions and diagnosing and getting them to open up and tell me what their problem is and what they're looking for, they are more receptive to being offered something, right? So that's the key that I wanted you to pick up here, right? So she didn't feel sold, she felt understood. And you didn't have to push, she pulled you towards the sale, right? So what are some rules that we can always apply here to always sell like a doctor and remember that we're keeping in that same vein, right? So rule number 1, we always end with a question. So had a great time, maybe you get a reply. When are you free again? They have to reply, right? Everything that we're in the chats and we're in the DMs, we always want to end in a question if we can. The only time I say end in a statement is if you're live chatting with someone and they're responding within like 30 seconds to a minute. That'd be the only time where that rule can be broken. But for the most part, always end in a question, right? Number 2, the set is the close. So you can't close someone, you can't set an appointment. They're not taking the desired action that you would like, right? The problem started above where the problem is existing right now. So it wasn't the last message you sent. It was probably a message that you sent way earlier, way prior, right? The problem started way before. You just didn't notice until it got to this point down here. So the rule number 2 here, the principle is the set is the close, but always scroll up if you're not getting the desired outcome, right? Number 3, we want to live in reality, okay? So a swipe right comment, so someone saying that I'm interested does not mean let's move in together, right? A fire comment does not mean take my money, right? Somebody liking my post or in some kind of engagement does not mean that they want to buy my thing, okay? We want to ask first, we want to verify, and then offer, okay? So 3 rules. Let's tattoo these on our DM sleeves, right? Number 1, end every conversation with a question. End every message with a question. So questions keep it moving, statements let them leave, so we want to make sure that we're always keeping them engaged. Number 2, the set is the close. If the close fails, the setup was wrong, so always scroll up in the conversation. Number 3, live in reality. A fire emoji is not a purchase order. A like on my post does not mean that they like my stuff enough to buy, right? We want to verify. We want to make sure that we're pitching the right people, okay? So here's your homework. Do these today. Number 1, we're going to stop saying link in the bio forever, right? We're going to get people in the DMs and start asking them questions and having conversations, and that's going to increase our conversion. Number 2, you're going to minimum ask at least 3 questions before you pitch, right? Why'd you reach out? What are you working on? What's not working? Takes a few minutes, but going to be well worth your time, right? And then number 3, you're going to go look at your last 10 DMs, right? Find all your resume drops where you're just kind of just pitching people and like not really taking into account their interest level or anything like that, right? You're going to reopen every single one of those conversations with a follow-up question, okay? Your content is the magnet, your DMs are the cash register, all right? Build a system and everything will change. So hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a subscribe down below. I'm going deeper every single week in DM sales, DM frameworks, real conversations that we see in the chat, stuff I don't share anywhere else, right? You can see my books linked down in the description below, and I'm excited to see you in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.